everybody. This is DSN here again with Share the Path That I Have Walked series. Today again on the topic of the difficult daughter-mother relationships. It's like that, guys. I've noticed that one of the biggest obstacles after having lived or been in a difficult daughter-mother relationship, and i.e. in my case being the daughter, and I'm going to talk from this perspective today, is that we have been at the receiving end of quite a bit of manipulation, and that from the very beginning of our lives. So what does that manipulation mean, or what do I mean with manipulation? Is that more often than not we have been manipulated in the sense of who we are supposed to be. What role are we to play in this relationship? What kind of achievable worldly things are we forced or kind of encouraged, of course at best encouraged, to pursue? And what kind of role image exactly, again, are we invited and also pressurized? That depends on what exact moment we're going through within that relationship. Surely there are moments where there's a bit less pressure exerted and we are more free to make our own choices and to discover who we are when we're just a young child still. It's the whole life and everything in front of us is a journey of discovery, of playfulness, etc. But that can have this manipulating influence within that whole journey when there is an overly often and pressurized path that we feel that we are supposed to take for ourselves. So there is the first manipulation of not feeling that we have entirely a free will of expressing our own nature, our own choices, and to discover really within the early ages what I'm talking about, of developing our own sense of identity, where it's still very flux as a child, of course, throughout teenage years we then solidify our sense of identity. But up to that point of being still a young child, we of course need a lot of feedback. I'm not saying that our mothers should not give us feedback on what the world is about and also our limitations. But if they have a fixed idea of who and how we are supposed to behave and be and who we are, basically, and that's what I want to, the crux that I want to get to, is that we then, as people who have just, as a result then in a way suffered from that, of having to discover our identity at a later point in life, probably through more painful experiences, is that we could now, and that's what I would like to suggest to you, could have different ways of rediscovering and doing that solidification of our identity at a later stage, and with also still with a lot of joy. Fact remains that we are still free to find our individuality, to express our identity. That's not something that stops at the age of our late teens, say. This is a development and a process which hopefully never ends throughout our lives. This is also part of being a human and the human experience, so to evolve, to reflect, to grow, to expand, and so forth. So the small exercise that I was thinking about of returning and discovering the parts of your identity and of who you are verses of who you've been told that you are, is that you take a few moments at the beginning of your day, you know. Perhaps that's as soon as you get up, perhaps you're already in a fit state to do that, after your jog or your cup of coffee, whatever you have to have in order to sit yourself down and check in with yourself. Because what you could do is just for, say, once a week for a few months, or perhaps intensely for a couple of days in a row over a stretch of time, to sit down and at the beginning write down of who you want to be that day. Sounds weird, doesn't it? Who do we want to be? But just from, you know, free from top of your head, with an open heart space, write down what comes into your mind or into your heart, and write it down. And perhaps over the course of a few times doing this exercise, you will see like a breadcrumb trail. You will see like that thread of what is an underlying current or theme within yourself, a side that you wish to express and also recognize within yourself that perhaps was pushed beside or behind the scenes, so to speak, into parts of yourself which now want to be rediscovered and revamped and used and expressed. Another small advice is also to make sure that you don't only write down things that you want to be, which are, you know, in regards to how do you show up for other people. So don't only put things down which are, things that connect you to other people. With that I mean, it's better with an example, I guess, like being a good girlfriend, being a good daughter, being a good worker, being a successful worker. I mean, successful worker is slightly different, but being a good friend. Of course, that's something that is important and holds a lot of value for yourself, I understand that. But what I mean is this being, again, a being in the role of the connection to another. So as a second phase within that exercise, I would suggest that you pay attention, that you also really put things down that you want to be in your own right without being in a relationship to anybody. So being an inventor, being an adventurous, being a baker. So whatever you want to be that day, and it can really be something which is limited or specific to that day. But I guess that when you do that over the course of a few days and a few times, that it will be quite amusing, perhaps harder than you think, and it will get you going in the spirit of recognizing more facets of yourself, and I guess that can offer some healing in a identification process that perhaps was up to now a bumpy road, and it just still has something very playful. And this is what I suggest you might want to try out. So thank you guys for watching, and have a great time. See you next time around. Bye bye.